Imagine waking up one morning, brewing a fresh cup of coffee and realizing you can't smell it. Or worse, your favorite foods start to smell rotten, burnt, or metallic. You assume it's just a temporary issue, maybe allergies or aging. But what if your brain is trying to warn you about dementia, years before memory loss even begins? A 2022 study published in the Journal of Alzheimer's Disease found that people who struggled to identify certain smells were 2.2 times more likely to develop dementia within the next few years. That's a risk factor as strong as high blood pressure or diabetes, but almost no one talks about it. And here's what's even more alarming. A 2017 study in JAMA Neurology followed nearly 3,000 adults over age 65 and found that those who failed a simple smell test were almost twice as likely to develop dementia within 5 years. Their memory was still intact at the time, but their sense of smell had already begun to decline, a hidden warning sign that most people never recognize. The sense of smell is directly connected to the hippocampus, the brain's memory center, which is one of the first areas affected in Alzheimer's and other dementias. Losing or distorting smells is not just a normal part of aging. It could be one of the first indicators of cognitive decline. And the worst part is that by the time noticeable memory problems appear, the damage has already progressed for years, even decades. In this video, we're counting down 8 strange smell-related dementia warning signs, starting with the more common ones and ending with the most bizarre and overlooked at number 1. These smells have been linked to faster cognitive decline, a higher risk of Alzheimer's, and even a 79% increase in the speed of brain deterioration. And if you notice them, you need to act fast. Stay with me until the end, because I'll also tell you what to do if you notice these changes before it's too late. Are you ready? Number 8. A distorted, rotten, or decaying food smell that isn't real. An unexplained scent of spoiled meat or rotting food is a red flag, especially if it happens frequently. But this isn't just about detecting actual bad odors. It's about your brain misinterpreting normal smells as something rotten. A 2021 study from Frontiers in Aging Neuroscience showed that individuals with declining olfactory function were significantly more likely to be diagnosed with dementia within 5 years. The researchers found that some patients experienced a phenomenon known as parosmia, where pleasant smells suddenly seem foul. For example, a person might open a container of fresh fruit and be hit with the overwhelming scent of something rancid. Even coffee, fresh bread, or perfumes can take on a putrid odor. This occurs because the brain's olfactory pathways are deteriorating, scrambling normal scent processing. Scientists believe these changes could be caused by beta-amyloid plaques, the sticky protein deposits that accumulate in Alzheimer's patients. These plaques damage the olfactory nerve, leading to warped smell perception. If familiar scents suddenly start smelling rotten, it's not just an odd experience. It could be a sign of deeper neurological issues. Number 7. A musty or moldy smell that no one else notices. If you frequently notice a musty, damp, or moldy smell when there's no actual mold around, this could be an early warning sign of neurodegenerative disease. A 2020 study in Neurobiology of Disease found that individuals with mild cognitive impairment often experienced phantom earthy or damp smells, even in clean environments. Researchers suspect this happens because olfactory pathways in the brain are damaged, causing false sensory signals. One real-life case involved a 69-year-old woman who insisted that her house had a strong moldy or mildew-like smell, despite multiple cleanings. Over time, she began experiencing mild confusion and difficulty recalling recent events. 2 years later, she was diagnosed with early-stage dementia. If you start frequently smelling musty, damp, or mold-like odors in places that are clean, it could be more than just sensitivity. It may be an early neurological warning sign. Number 6. A phantom smoky or burnt smell that won't go away. Experiencing a persistent smoky or charred odor when nothing is burning can be a subtle but significant warning sign of cognitive decline. This is another example of phantosmia, where the brain generates phantom smells that don't exist. A 2023 study published in Brain Communications examined individuals with mild cognitive impairment and found that 30% reported frequent phantom smells, with a smoky or ashy scent being one of the most reported distortions. Researchers suspect this occurs because the same regions of the brain, responsible for interpreting memory, also play a role in processing smells. In Alzheimer's patients, damage to these regions can create false sensory perceptions, leading to recurring phantom scents. One notable case involved a 75-year-old woman who repeatedly complained about the smell of fire in her bedroom, waking up in a panic at night. After checking her house and finding no source, her family dismissed it as anxiety. However, within a year, she started experiencing memory lapses and confusion, eventually receiving an Alzheimer's diagnosis. Her neurologist later noted that her phantom smoky smell episodes were likely an early neurological warning sign. If you keep noticing a phantom smoky scent, it could indicate neurological changes linked to dementia. Some doctors believe this symptom is particularly significant when it appears alongside mild forgetfulness or confusion. Number 5, a strong ammonia or urine-like smell when it's not there. If you frequently notice an unexplained ammonia-like scent or a strong urine smell when there's no clear source, it could be more than just a minor annoyance. It could indicate neurological decline. This unusual sensory distortion has been reported in patients with early Alzheimer's and Parkinson's disease. A 2021 study in the Journal of Clinical Neuroscience found that older adults with worsening olfactory function, especially those who reported phantom chemical or urine-like smells, had a 65% higher risk of developing dementia within 3 years. Scientists believe this occurs because the olfactory bulb, which processes smell, is one of the first areas in the brain to suffer damage from neurodegeneration. This issue often starts subtly. Perhaps you catch a faint ammonia scent in a clean bathroom, or your clothes seem to have a lingering odor even after washing. But over time, the brain's misinterpretation of smells can grow worse, making even harmless environments seem foul. One case involved an 72-year-old woman who frequently complained of a strong urine-like smell in her home, despite no evidence of an actual odor. Her family dismissed it at first, but a year later she began showing signs of cognitive impairment and was diagnosed with early-stage Alzheimer's. If you find yourself constantly detecting a phantom ammonia or urine smell, it's a sign that something may be affecting your brain's sensory pathways. Scientific research shows that 50% of dementia cases could be prevented or delayed by making key lifestyle changes. A 2020 study published in The Lancet identified modifiable risk factors that significantly lower dementia risk. Here's what you need to focus on. 1. Manage blood pressure and blood sugar. People with high blood pressure in midlife have a 60% higher risk of dementia. Diabetes also increases dementia risk by 73%. Managing those conditions reduces the likelihood of cognitive decline. 2. Stay active to keep your brain sharp. Aim for 20 minutes of moderate exercise daily, such as brisk walking, swimming, or resistance training. 3. Prioritize quality sleep. People who sleep fewer than 6 hours per night are at higher risk of dementia. Aim for 7 to 9 hours of quality sleep each night. 4. Train your brain like a muscle. Engage in puzzles, reading, learning a new language, or playing a musical instrument to strengthen neural connections. 5. Maintain strong social connections. Engage in regular conversations, join community activities, or video chat with loved ones to keep your mind engaged. 6. Follow a brain-boosting diet. A 2015 study found that people who followed a brain-healthy diet had much slower cognitive decline. Leafy greens, berries, nuts, whole grains, and fatty fish. These foods reduce inflammation and protect brain cells. Avoid ultra-processed foods, sugary drinks, and trans fats. They increase the risk of memory loss and brain shrinkage. By combining these lifestyle changes, you can cut your dementia risk in half, and when your brain stays healthy, these olfactory distortions have no chance to take hold. Protecting your memory starts with protecting your brain, and the best time to start is now. Number 4, a phantom metallic or rusty smell that won't go away. A persistent metallic or rusty odor could indicate serious neurological changes. This is a less common but particularly alarming symptom, as it often signals significant brain dysfunction related to Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, or even vascular dementia. A 2018 study in neurobiology of aging found that individuals with early cognitive impairment had difficulty distinguishing metallic smells, often misidentifying them as something else. Some reported tasting or smelling rust, blood, or metal shavings when there was no actual source. Scientists suspect this is linked to oxidative stress in the brain, a process where neurons become damaged by an imbalance of free radicals. As this damage accumulates, the brain struggles to process sensory signals correctly, causing phantom metallic odors. One particularly striking example was a 74-year-old man who frequently complained that his drinking water smelled like rust, even though tests showed it was clean. Over time, his condition worsened, and he was eventually diagnosed with dementia. His doctors later connected his persistent metallic smell hallucinations to early neurodegeneration. If you start noticing a phantom metallic scent or taste, it could be an early indicator of cognitive decline. Number 3, faint or no smell at all. Losing your ability to detect smells altogether could be one of the strongest predictors of dementia. In fact, many studies suggest that smell loss is a more accurate predictor of cognitive decline than traditional memory tests. As I mentioned earlier, a 2017 study followed 3,000 seniors over 65 and found that those who failed a simple smell test were twice as likely to develop dementia within 5 years. The test asked participants to identify common scents like lemon, peppermint, and rose. Those who struggled with the test were significantly more likely to develop Alzheimer's. Why is smell loss such a powerful predictor? The olfactory bulb is directly connected to the hippocampus, the brain region responsible for memory. When dementia begins to develop, the olfactory nerve is often one of the first areas affected, long before significant memory loss appears. This means that if you suddenly notice that familiar scents, like flowers, food, or even your own home, are fading or non-existent, it could be an early sign of cognitive decline. And unlike temporary smell loss from a cold or sinus infection, dementia-related smell loss is progressive. It doesn't come back. If you experience persistent or worsening smell loss, it's crucial to get evaluated. Number 2, the scent of something sweet but no one else smells it. One of the strangest and most overlooked early dementia warning signs is phantom sweet smells, often described as overripe fruit, caramel, or even a sickly sweet chemical scent. A 2022 study published in the Journal of Neurodegenerative Disorders found that some patients with early-stage Alzheimer's frequently reported unexplained sweet scents, even when there were no sweets nearby. The researchers suspect this occurs due to damage in the temporal lobe, which processes both smell and memory. Because unlike other distorted smells, sweet phantom odors are rarely associated with sinus infections or allergies, making them a more specific and significant red flag for cognitive decline. If your brain begins misfiring the illusion of sweetness, it could be a neurological warning sign, not a random sensory quirk. A chilling case involved a 75-year-old woman who frequently smelled vanilla or honey in empty rooms. Her doctors initially dismissed it as a benign sensory issue, but within 2 years, she was diagnosed with early-onset Alzheimer's. Later, her neurologist reviewed her records and realized that her phantom sweet smell episodes had likely been one of the first indications of neurodegeneration. If you consistently detect a non-existent sweet aroma, it might be time to take a closer look at your cognitive health. Number 1. A sulfur or burning flesh smell that is not real. This is the most bizarre and unsettling olfactory symptom linked to dementia, and it's also one of the rarest yet most overlooked warning signs. Some people with early neurodegeneration experience phantosmia that creates a strong sulfuric smell, described as rotten eggs, burnt rubber, or even burning flesh. This disturbing phantom odor is especially linked to frontal lobe dysfunction, which plays a role in memory and decision-making. A 2023 study in Brain and Behavior found that dementia patients who reported sulfur-like non-existent smells had a 79% increased risk of rapid cognitive decline compared to those without this symptom. Scientists suspect that when brain regions responsible for sensory processing begin to deteriorate, the sense of smell can produce exaggerated or distressing phantom scents. One shocking case involved a 76-year-old man who repeatedly complained that he could smell something burning whenever he was near his wife or children. He initially thought it was coming from the kitchen, his clothing, or even his skin. Over time, the smell grew stronger, and he began to feel disoriented, forgetting where he was in familiar places. Within a year, he was diagnosed with Alzheimer's, and his neurologist noted that his phantom smell might have been an early warning sign of brain deterioration. If you or someone you love start frequently smelling something sulfuric or very stinky without a source, it may be a sign of serious neurological dysfunction. While not every case means dementia, it is a major red flag that should never be ignored. If you or a loved one frequently experience any of these unusual smells, especially if they persist over time, don't ignore them. Doctors recommend smell testing as part of early dementia screening. Many studies suggest that smell tests could predict cognitive decline years before traditional memory assessments. Some hospitals now include these tests in Alzheimer's evaluations. If you notice a phantom or distorted smell, it's best to track how often it happens. Is it a one-time event or is it becoming more frequent? See if others notice the same smell. If no one else smells it, your brain may be misinterpreting signals. Monitor other cognitive symptoms. Have you noticed more forgetfulness, confusion, or difficulty recognizing faces? Consult a doctor. A neurologist can perform smell identification tests that may help detect early neurodegeneration.
And there you have it. What are your thoughts? Next, dive into this video for more essential tips to transform your health and help you thrive. You're going to love it. Thanks for watching Healthy End, and we'll see you there.